invest the time in yourself, invest money in yourself, because if you do those two things, and don't be scared to fail, because you only fail when you quit.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Getting knocked down. We've all been knocked down, and I know I'm going to keep getting knocked down, but I'm not willing to quit on my vision and my why.
Hey, so we are still here in Dallas, and I'm with my good friend Dan, and I'm not even going to butcher his name, so I'm going to ask you to do it.
Dan Zatowski.
That I never would have got right.
That's a common last name. It's like
Smith. Every day.
It's just common spelling. Yeah. I always tell people Dan Zatowski, common spelling.
Is it? Dan, where are you from, man? You got a little accent.
I'm from New York, but I live in Delaware now. In Delaware. I'm a New Yorker. I'm a true New Yorker.
I'm from Boston. We're not going to hold that against you. We'll still be friends.
The best part is I'm in Dallas this weekend while the Giants are playing the Cowboys tomorrow night.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm coming to the enemy territory.
Got tickets?
They're playing in New York.
Oh, they're playing in New York, and you're here
watching the game.
Yeah.
With Cowboy fans.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Talk about a little controversy.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Well, I'm a Patriots fan, right? So,
I like you guys. You gave us 2 Super Bowls. Brady.
And Eli Manning, the 2 luckiest days of that kid's life. Let me see if I can catch this on my helmet as a. So. Anyways, we'll just restart all that. But so Dan,
I think that should be in the podcast.
It should. We'll always we leave everything. We don't.
I always talk about it's real deal Dan Zatowski. You're not getting sugarcoated. You're getting the real deal. You need to see the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. People are always surprised, oh, you didn't swear when you were on stage. I'm like, well, my wife yells at me when I swear too much. So, and I embarrass all of my real friends when they see my reels pop up and I'm up there cussing and it's all just asterisks on the reels. So Dan, what do you do, man?
Oh, I've been in the business 33 years as an investor. I think I've done everything in investing, but my big.
What have you done good though?
Just steal money, right?
Yeah.
My big
dirty landlords and investors.
I am a landlord. I own a decent amount of rental properties, but my biggest claim to fame is I raise capital to buy distressed debt or properties from banks and asset managers or direct from sellers. Okay. I turn those properties into beautiful rentals now. Nice. And then I sell them off to investors and I hold a note. So I create financing for investors to build their own portfolio. Yeah. But in doing so, I'm able to create passive income for myself. And that's how the book came out, Passive Prosperous, and that's all my speaking events come, is because we have 5 exit strategies on our seller finance notes. So when I create a seller finance note to investors, I'm helping investors build their portfolio, their net worth, their legacy, but I'm also creating passive income for myself so I can live that passive to prosperous life I talk about.
Nice. All right, well, we're going to slow all of that down. Let's go back to the beginning. You said you raise money, so you have other people who maybe have some money sitting on the sidelines and they're tired of it making 0.5% in a CD or something like that, so they can invest that with you. Correct. And backed by real estate and it's insured and all of those things.
Correct.
And you take that money and you're saying you buy direct from banks?
I buy direct from banks, asset managers, wholesalers, direct from sellers.
Oh, okay.
I'll buy from anywhere I can buy that makes the deal backs out, makes sense. And I buy in emerging markets. I'm very big on staying in emerging markets.
I love emerging markets. One of the best books I ever read, and I recommend it to everybody, is Dave Lindahl's book on emerging markets.
Dave is a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Dave is a great guy in the multifamily space.
So much of our wealth and everything that we do goes back to Dave and an event that he did in Boston and back in 2009, and that was what led us to Chattanooga, which opened up.
Did you ever get to go to Harvard Club with him?
I did not.
You got to get to Harvard. Actually, I got to give Dave credit. Dave is actually the person who got me years ago. I was all single families, and he's the guy who got me really. I did one multi, and then after I was with him, I got into multis really big. Yeah. And then in 2019, I wound up selling all my doors. So I'm no longer a general partner in multifamilies. I'm a limited partner in 2 right now.
Interesting. So like every investor, we wanted to go from single family to duplex, duplex to quad to apartment building. So we went, my brother and I went to his event in, maybe it was 2008, way back then, in Boston. And it's all week, and we wanted to learn how to buy apartments because everybody's always trying to level up. And the last day, Dave's in this ballroom. Seymour, what's his name? I can't remember. What's his first name? The fireman.
I don't know who that is.
He was the MC. He's in Family. Dave Seymour.
I know.
With the Australian guy.
Yes. I know.
It's funny. Anyways, I finally met him again a couple years ago, but he was the MC at that event. But anyways, so we're at Lindahl's event, and again, 500 people in this ballroom in Boston, And he's at the front of the room, and he's got this huge screen. And I've never seen somebody so freaking smart. He's got a pointer, and he's literally going through every major market in the country off the top of his head, going, "Hey, here's what's going on here. Here's what's happening here. This is down. This is up. They're opening subway stations over here. So this is going to be the hot area of Minnesota." It was unbelievable. But he got to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we were already looking for someplace to get out, someplace to invest outside of Central Florida, because Florida in '08 was a little dicey, right?
It was
like a fat kid chasing the ball down the hill, man. The market was falling so fast.
That was the cyclical market back then. Everyone jumped in.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so he gets to Chattanooga, and he starts talking about Volkswagen is going to open their first production facility inside the United States, and they picked Chattanooga. Amazon is opening 2 distribution centers, and he talked about the market. And I'm like, well, that might be an interesting place to check out. And because of Dave, that's why we're there. That's why we have this massive portfolio. Like, everything came from that one event.
That is awesome.
So I'm always the biggest cheerleader for Dave. I know he was away and he came back, and I'm always telling people when they ask what's a good book, that's the book, because I've never seen somebody explain it so well.
It is. And emerging markets are so important. You might not live in an area, and I get it. I live in Delaware now. Delaware is not the easiest market to invest in because of price points. So I always tell people you got to be comfortable being able to invest outside your market. Now, if you live in a great emerging market, it is a lot easier. And I always tell people, don't spray across the United States. Pick 2 or 3 markets and then get deep in 1 or 2 of them and go deep. Build your teams in those markets. Build your property managers. Build your contractors. Build your title companies, your realtors, your attorneys. Build a team in that market and go deep, because if you can get an emerging market, I mean, you just blow. And I've proven it, and you've proven it, and Dave has proven it. We've proven that. My biggest portfolio is nowhere near in my own home state.
Really, where is it?
So right now, Ohio is my biggest portfolio.
Really?
Yeah.
Great market to be a landlord because you're on a 2% rent multiplier. Very difficult market to be a wholesaler, though.
So I don't. So for me as a landlord, once I get those properties rented out and I get them managed properly. I could sell them off to my investors, and my investors are those investors that just don't want to be bothered. Right? I call them investors, but they're really, they're doctors, I have lawyers, I have business owners. They don't want those phone calls that, hey, something's leaking, right? They just want to build legacy wealth for their family.
Absolutely.
So that's what, and how that started is those are the people who used to fund my deals. They were my private lenders. And they got to the point they're like, hey, I see you're doing this.
I see you're making a lot of money, man.
You're paying me back, and it's cool that I get paid I love the mailbox money. But how do I do some of this myself? So it's just kind of like you with the acquisitions, right? And you're handling that for investors. It's like, hey, how do I do this? And it's like, let me just do this for you. And we did this for them, and we showed them how instead of buying 1 proproperty, they can now buy 3 or 4 at a time. And that's how we got into the seller finance. And it served my purpose, my vision, was to create passive income. So now I can create true passive income for myself and help them. So it's a win-win.
It's funny, for the first probably 10 years of my career, when we were buying properties, I self-managed. And I know, I know. Listen, and we started wholesaling. We maintained wholesaling. We bought a bunch of properties, over 100 properties of our own, and then we rehabbed and all those things. So, anyways, I'm like, I'm a good landlord. Like, I can self-manage better because I care and all those things. But what happened was I got so busy, I became a bad landlord without realizing it. Right? She calls me. He's like, hey, my air conditioning's down. I'm like, great. I would text my AC guy. He's like, yeah, I got it, and I'm done. 4 days later, he calls me screaming, hey, nobody ever came over, because I wasn't following up and I wasn't doing those things. So I did, about 2.5 years ago, I outsourced to a title company, to a property management company. Greatest decision I've ever made in my life.
But you still have to manage the property management.
You do.
I tell people, it's not a hands-off. You
100%.
still have to manage the property management.
But I'm not getting all of those calls. I'm not running. One time during the college championship game, it was Alabama and somebody a couple of years ago, I was over with my water key turning off water at one of my duplexes. So that's the life of trying to self-manage.
But that's the progression. That's why I said I went from a lot of rentals to now a lot of seller finance. So seller financing, I'm a note holder. I'm the bank. So I don't care about tenants, toilets, trash, termites, right? So if your toilet bowl breaks, you don't call up Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Chase, say, hey, I'm not paying you my mortgage, my toilet bowl break. You still have to pay that mortgage. So 2/3 of my portfolio is seller finance notes. 1/3 is owned and operated properties. But those are more legacy properties. Those are properties that just don't back out for an investor to buy.
So here's why I would disagree with you a little bit, and we can fight about it.
That's fine. I like that.
So
I'll wrestle first.
No, I'm okay. So here's I get the seller finance, or financing it out, and I've done a few of those when we've needed to. But I started late. I started when I was 40 doing this, right? So,
Damn, you only look like you're 35.
yeah,
Didn't you just celebrate a birthday?
52 the other day, man. 52.
Yeah. And I know I didn't have one of those 52 cigars that you guys had. I was supposed to have one.
Oh yeah, I got one upstairs though. We can go outside and pop one later.
That means there should be one for me.
So here was the thing with seller financing, and lease option and all of those things, is at some point that money will stop, right? If I seller finance to him, at some point he's going to either refi or pay me off, and then my money stops.
Correct.
So I'm good with that strategy, but I tell people, you better be saving, and most of them are not, right? So, or run it through your IRA, or do one of those things. But if I just bring people in and I seller finance everything, because I get it, I don't love the tenants either, but at some point what my fear was I'm going to be 67 and the money stops.
Right. And you said the magic word. You said anything.
Yeah.
You said everything. I said I seller finance 2/3 of my portfolio.
I got you. Yeah.
And 1/3 is owned and operated. Now the 1/3 owned and operated, the reason I don't seller finance is one, that's going into my family legacy. That's we're building a family office. That's going into that.
Okay, good.
Okay, second reason, it doesn't back out for an investor to buy it because the rent is not nearly what it needs to be. Close to that 1% rent to value ratio to make it work for an investor. So those properties I keep in my portfolio. Anything that fits that 1% rent to value ratio in those emerging markets, I sell off to my investors and sell finance. So I build both consistently.
Good. So it's balanced.
Yeah. Plus, when you own those properties, you also get the tax benefits. You get the quadrant of depreciation, appreciation, rent increases, and debt reduction.
Right. So I just try to explain that to these young kids that are 25. I'm like, dude, here's a question I'll ask them. What does the end look like? And you have to ask them 2 or 3 times because they don't always understand, right? Yeah. What is your life going to look like if you had all the money in the world? Great. I'm going to go start an orphanage. I'm going to travel. I'm going to get out of it. Whatever, right? Whatever it is, and it's different for everybody. How quickly can we get you there?
Exactly.
Right? Like how quickly can we get there? And anyways, my fear is just that 73. I own or finance all these things out, and I worked really hard for 20 years, and now all the money just stops.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And now I'm back to being a greeter at Walmart.
Exactly.
Which
that's not so bad.
Well,
you just said that.
Yeah.
That's actually, I told my wife, I says, when I'm done, I don't know if I'm never going to say the word retire.
Right.
To me, retire means put yourself on the shelf.
Yeah,
right? I'll never be done. But there's a point in my life where I think it would be pretty cool to be the greeter at Walmart or the guy that driving the. How unhappy are people when you just say hello?
Yeah. So here's my little the fantasy that's in my brain. So
because we all have some crazy. It's either that or I'm a bartender in Roatan where we have a little.
Yes, that'd be cool. So here's mine. I want to be the guy at 84 Lumber who works at the counter, the old guy. Bring your plans in. I love doing takeoffs on plans, right?
Okay.
I was a salesman before. And I just want to come in and hang out and do this. I want to talk to contractors all day. But then I'm like, I'm going to only want to come in when I want to come in and work 1 day a week. And then I want to go on vacation. And they're not going to be cool with that. And they're my little plan. I'm going to have to just volunteer.
But that's the best time to work when you don't need to.
It is. But yeah, I couldn't imagine not having interaction with people.
Exactly.
And which for me is, I'm such an introvert too.
I can't believe that.
Oh no, I am. Introverts and extroverts, the difference is, extroverts get charged up with these conversations. For me, it drains me. That's why after a day like today, I'm gonna need to go sit in the room for an hour and go.
Well, you say that. It's funny you say that because my wife knows when I speak at events, I speak 30 to 40 times a year.
Yeah.
She has this clear direction that at a certain point, get me out of there and bring me into the background.
Yes.
And let me kind of, because when you speak and you walk off stage, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't get a drink, you can't do anything. So you're on all the time. And when you truly love, and I talk about this all the time, I don't get on stage and just wing it. I truly plan it. I love on people. I emotionally,
want to help them.
Psychologically and physically give everything I have when I speak at an event. And I take it very seriously. I honor the show host. I honor the people that show up. They invest money and time in themselves, and I want to give them as much as I can give them.
Before I got good at managing that, because it takes a little bit of management, right? Like the first day where I was speaking, I went to the room twice. I needed just, because first days are always crazy at events. And but when I was first starting this and speaking locally, and I would have my team there with me, in my little town, you're little celebrity, right? Whatever. Yeah, people want to come up and talk to you because I've been an investor so long, and I somehow always end up backed into a corner with a bunch of people around, and my team knows to be oh, hey, we got to get back to the office,
that's
and I can see other people. Do you know Eric Klein?
Oh yeah.
So Eric's a good friend of mine. We saw him last night. He's here in town. We were at an event in Atlanta, and I know Eric will talk forever, but I knew he had a flight, so I'm like, I'm like, hey man, I got to get you to right now. Like, come on, we got to. I'm like, no. I know you got to go. You got to,
yes.
because it's hard to break away because you want to help people.
Especially if you're a giver, right? We're givers, right? That's why we're doing this. This is kind of, we're giving back to people, right? We're trying to put them in the easy pass lane, right?
Yeah.
The fast lane to get
because this didn't exist when I started.
No, I mean, like 33. I think I always talk about. I was 18. I went to 3 events. It was like Russ Whitney,
right?
Carlton Sheets, and Robert Allen. They were live events, and I think you could buy some books or tapes afterwards.
Yeah.
And you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have social media, you didn't have podcasts, you didn't have events like this where people can. They just got up on stage, spoke, they sold their course, and they walked off.
And now with social media, like, hey, we're going to have an event, and like 300 people show up.
Exactly.
Back then, it was we're going to send out postcards. Like, we got to notify people.
It was
it's a production.
Nowadays, you could be literally. You have your phone. You take your phone. You hit a button, and you can portray yourself out to how many millions of people at a time.
Yeah.
And you get your information out there.
Yeah.
So there's information overload right now. And when we do this, we just want to give back. So as you're giving back, as a speaker, you're constantly, and I don't mind it. I love it. I actually enjoy it because I love helping people, but it does wear on you.
Towards the end of the day, like I get pretty cooked.
Yeah.
And then, we love to go out after.
Yeah.
And when we're out after, like, I just want to talk about, like, tell me about your dog, man. I got English Bulldogs. And sometimes you get people that, and they do want proximity.
Right.
And I know the sound.
Right.
Comments are going to be, you're a douchebag, ungrateful, I'm like, okay, I get it. But you just...
Those are good.
Social media, we love it. Give us your comments. Tell us how we suck. But
I do think you suck as your landlord.
I do. Well, that rent money, dude. I'm going to tell you,
you're just sucking people dry.
There is nothing better than that monthly mailbox check that comes in every single month.
Poor people can't even pay their bills, and you're taking money from them.
I know, and even the best money. I'll tell you, a lot of people don't like this, but Section 8, right? So here's
what they say, Section 8 never late?
Section 8 never late. Direct deposit right into the account, right? So, some people don't like Section 8, and I'm like, if I'm going to have a shitty tenant that doesn't pay, or I can have a shitty tenant that's on Section 8, and at least I'm getting paid, I will take that Section 8 money all day. I'll take that government back money all the time. But yeah, so do you remember your first event?
Oh, man, my first event ever, sure, it was Russ Whitney.
Okay.
That I went to, I attended.
Yeah.
It was a Russ Whitney event. I was just about to turn 18.
Yeah? You started early, man.
Yeah, I bought my first condo. I was not even 19 yet.
Oh.
I bought it with a credit. I hate to tell people this because I don't want them to go and do it and screw themselves up.
Yeah.
But I got an FHA deal and I bought it with 3.5% down on a credit card. I took cash advance on a credit card.
Dude, that's awesome.
I've done some crazy deals. I'm careful to tell people because I don't want them to get in trouble doing what I've done.
So my good friend, one of my oldest best friends, John Brenner, he's the man. So I lived in Key Largo. I managed a store down there. So he came down from Boston. And 4 of us went down to Key West, and we're hanging out. And he's like, "Let's go on this little gambling boat. You know, little gambling boats, right?" And I don't know. I'm like, it's 21. It's blackjack, right? I can count to 21. Yeah. So I go down there, and I know jack shit about gambling. And so I go down. I'm trying to pick a table. And you're on that second level in the boat. And I picked this table because there was this beautiful Asian girl sitting there, right? I was single before I was married, Heather, and. So I sit down.
I can't keep finding the women off this guy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's getting crazy out here.
So I sit down next to her because that's where, and I didn't realize, and I had like $200. It was all the money I had. Like it was a struggle to come up with $200 for the weekend. So I sit there and it's, what was it, $25 a hand or something, right? Well, which I should not have been at the.
Right.
This is.
Not with $200.
No, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm mostly interested in talking, and I'm like lose, win, and I'm trying to follow what's going on, and I'm like lose, win, lose. Like all of a sudden, so my buddy who is a very competent gambler, right? He comes over and he's like, "Hey, Junior, what do you got?" Oh, so I was doing the same thing. I started with 4 8 chips, whatever it is, and I would take a couple and I'd put one in my pocket, like because I didn't want to have a bunch here because I just didn't want to make a mess. It wasn't because I was so smart. So I'm playing, I'm winning, I'm putting one, talking to the girl, putting one. So anyways, he comes over, he's like, "Hey, Junior, what do you got there?" I'm like, "Oh, I have chips." So he comes around, he's like, he takes them. He's like, "All right, bro, you're out of here." I'm like, "No. I
got my girl here."
Yeah, like we're talking. He's like, "Bro, you have $1,800 here." I'm like, "How do I have that?"
Oh.
So I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Hey, I'll be back." So we go up and we eat, and I said to him, "Hey, hey, I'm going back down to win another 1,800.
It's
That's
not
what he
easy.
did, right?
It's not
He's
easy.
like, you're not winning a thing. You're done. Sit right here. We're done. And I'm like, no, I'm going back down. Lose. Like, I lost like $300 faster than, I'm like, oh, he was right.
Oh, he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
And the girl was gone.
Gone.
So you lost the girl and 300.
And $300. So then I think I was smart. So then
Now you think you're smart.
oh no, the story
lost the
now
300
there's
and the girl.
Part 2. So my grandfather's like, hey, I'm going to take all of you on this Carnival cruise. Never been on a cruise. I'm like, they have gambling, right? Because I'm the man. Right? So I go down there and I sit at this table, this blackjack table, and it's like 5-6 people, whatever it is. And so I'm playing and it's going okay. And all of a sudden, like, someone leaves, and the game starts picking up the pace, right?
Yeah.
It starts going faster and faster until the dealer's like counting for me, and dude, like,
Lights out.
Like easy $1,500 gone. I kept putting it on my little credit card that I just gotten. It was a terrible experience.
Oh my God.
The only place I lost more money was a strip club one time, but
Before you were married, right?
100% before. Yeah, I got
covering for you.
Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, there was a champagne room, and it was ugly. There was a lot of champagne, and I was barely.
There was a lot of champagne and a lot of ugly.
A lot of me, like with my eyes closed, like bobbing. Yeah. But don't do any of those things. Treat your money with more respect than I did.
That's right.
That's
Great stories, man. It's cool to see these stories because people, a lot of times they don't see that, right? They only see the success.
Rolexes and the
They only
Lambos
see
and all
the
the
success,
bullshit.
the success we have. They don't see what we've gone through. And I believe that this is a journey to get you into your
Sure,
life.
man.
You know, everything we've done has been a journey to get. Thank God you lost real quick, because if you didn't lose real quick, maybe you would have thought you were a perfect gambler, and you would have started increasing and going into the 6 figures in gambling and really lost everything. So.
And the point is, like, all of those stories, I also have very similar real estate stories, where, we hit a little bit of success and then we thought we figured everything out, and then we go out and we get maybe a little too risky, and then, you have to recoil and regroup and figure out and move on. But no, that's
why this is great, right? And people should listen to what you're doing, because you've done a lot. You got a lot going on. I mean, you're kind of the legend to a lot of companies that are doing a lot of deals to handle everything for them, which is really cool to have in this industry. Years ago, we didn't have companies like you're out there. Like, we had to do all the deal flow ourselves. So we got a deal, we had to take it to the title company. We had to deal with the attorneys. We had to deal with the realtors. We had to deal with the banks.
Yeah.
And then
and nobody got into this business to do that.
That's a lot of minutia. And I hate minutia. One thing I know, if you take my predictive index, I'm like Maverick. I'm a visionary as far right as you can be.
Oh, me too.
I don't want to touch.
If I didn't have a great team, I'd be done.
It's all about teams.
Yeah.
It's all about teams. But now in this business, it's cool because there's companies like yours, and there's other companies that do different things that could do your mailers for you. They could do your PPC.
You don't have to be the best PPC guy.
No.
Funny story. Do you know who Corey Geary is?
I know of him.
Okay. Yeah. One of my very bestest friends, and so smart, loves PPC and all that, right? So he said, hey, will you come out and help train my dispo team? Because I used to do that. I'm like, yeah, bro, can you show me how to set up my PPC account? Yeah. So we're sitting in Phoenix at a table like this, right? He's here, I'm here, and he's got his thing, and he's showing me PPC and Google AdWords. And dude, I knew 10 minutes in I wasn't doing that.
No.
Like, I knew, like, I do not have
Makes
the
my
brain.
head hurt.
Me, like, I lost. I'm like, I'm looking at the birds out the window, and I'm like,
Exactly.
I immediately had to hire somebody, because when I saw the little Asian guy on the yacht with the whatever his name was, with the girls and Carlton Sheets and all those things, I didn't get into business to do that.
Right. Exactly.
I got into real estate to talk to people, help people. Right. We should all be in this business to help people.
Right.
Sell those deals to buyers, make a lot of money.
Really, all we are is, and I tell people this, all we are is, we're problem solvers, and we build relationship capital. That's literally all we are.
Yep.
I mean, real estate is the means to very, very good business if you do it the right way. It could also be the means to a very bad business if you do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, invest the time in yourself, invest money in yourself, because if you do those two things, and don't be scared to fail, because you only fail when you quit.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Getting knocked down, we've all been knocked down, and I know I'm going to keep getting knocked down, but I'm not willing to quit on my vision and my why.
Right. But I do always tell people, and it's funny, I get this quite a bit from relatives or just other people who are maybe outside of our industry, are like, oh, that coaching, it's a scam, or you go to these events and they're just trying to sell you something. And I'm like, dude, how are you going to learn?
Exactly.
I can't go to Harvard and learn
Right.
creative financing. Like, it doesn't exist. You have to go learn it from somebody.
Exactly.
And if you buy that course and don't do anything with it, well then, was it the course or was it you?
Yeah.
Because even the shittiest course out there will teach you something.
I always tell people like this, when they invest in anything I do, and I'm not one of those out there trying to sell from a stage or anything like that.
I don't like
But
that.
I do have my online training courses, and I do have my inner circle workshops and live trainings. But I tell people all the time, if you get one nugget out of it, it was worth every dollar. And I look at it like this. I know people have courses, and there's a bunch of, they say scams, but I look at it like this. If there's one person in that whole hundreds of thousands of people that person trained, if that one person was successful, then it works. You don't work. It works. You don't work.
Yeah. No, it's generally the student.
It's not even the course. It's by being in rooms like we're in today. I've met some great people, right? Because why? They invest in themselves, time and money. Yeah. And I only want to work with people that value themselves enough to invest in themselves. If you don't value yourself, why would I value you?
Right.
So those calls, you probably get them like left and right. Those, hey, can I pick your brain and buy? Can I buy?
Can I go
coffee
lunch? Can I buy your lunch?
And half the time they don't even buy coffee, right?
Yeah.
So I used to do this all the time. Right? Can I pick your brain?
I used to do it a lot too.
Can I buy you coffee and pick your brain? First of all, I should do. My friend Larry talks about it. He's like, yeah, I'll send you. This is what I'll do. Here's the coffee shop in Paris. I fly first class, and it's the hotel I need to stay at. So he does that. But I did this as a test with one of the students I coach. I said, listen, you're spending at least 5-6 hours a week wasting your time with people that do that. All right, it's a short sell negotiator. I said, you got to stop doing it. He wanted to give back so much, I said, but it's pulling from your business. I said, what you're doing is you're actually screwing these people over. Because for free, when it gets hard, they're going to quit. If people invest in themselves, they value themselves, they're not going to quit. So what I did is I came up with this test, because I charge right now to get on the phone, it's $1,000 an hour, and I have a waiting list. And I do 2 people a month, and I take 2 people a month, it's $1,000 an hour. But I said, let me show you the test. I just did it yesterday. Some girl hit me up, and she wanted me to look at all her projects and see where she can make the most money and what's the best strategy for her. I said, listen, because I have students, I'll do this for you.
$10,000.
No, $297. Here's the link. Pay for it, and we'll set up a call for up to an hour. Doesn't pay for it. So what I do is I just saved her, and I saved myself. One is if I don't get hit up at least 30, 40 times a week, I don't get hit up once.
Me too.
If I spend even 30 minutes on the phone with Olds pick my brains, or go to coffee for 2 or 3 hours. But if I spend 20, 30, let's say 20 minutes, 20 times a week, that's 400 hours a week. Taken out of my life, right?
Well, here's what the internet's
400 minutes.
Dan,
400
you're
minutes.
Ungrateful.
I am. Yep, I'm grateful.
So when I asked you earlier about your first event, so my first event, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, found it, whatever. At the end,
everyone should. That should be the Bible. In high school, every kid should have to read. I send that to every person that asks me about
I've given
real
away
estate.
countless ones.
Yeah.
So he says, go find a real estate meetup or a REIA or whatever. So I Googled it and found it. So and I had already flipped a couple houses. So, but I tell my wife, I'm like, I'm leaving work. I'm going to Orlando, the Bumby Theater, Central Florida Real Estate Investors. I'm going down there to this event. So I drive down, and it's maybe 20, 30 minutes away from my house. So I go, do. I drive down there. And this is back in maybe 2004 when RIAs were there, the grand days of RIAs. So I pull in this parking lot packed, 300 cars. Every car's like, we buy houses, home inspections, hard money, soft, whatever, like a million cars. And I pull into the parking lot, and I'm like, looking for a spot, out the other side, and drove home. Got scared. Couldn't do it. I was afraid.
Imposter syndrome.
I flipped one house.
That's good.
I was afraid to go in because I don't belong here. I don't deserve to be here.
That's the imposter syndrome we talked about.
It is, and I have it really bad. I have a good case.
But that's how you level. Like I always say, like when you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong rooms.
Yeah. Although I will say I've thought that before until I was in this room in this mastermind in Fort Lauderdale, and there were these like 12-year-old kids doing like $500,000 a month in wholesaling. I'm like, what am I doing in my life?
Well, that's good.
It is, but it hurts your feelings.
But how much did it cost to get in that room?
Oh, it's 30 grand to be in that room.
And it's not a cost; it's an investment in yourself.
Is,
you're worth it. If you're not worth 30 grand, there's a problem.
Dude,
you should not be in this business.
Over $100,000 a year for that stuff.
I tell people I pay over $100,000 a year for the two events I'm in, 2 groups I'm in, and it costs me about $5,000 to $10,000 every time we go away.
Hell yeah, it's 2 first-class tickets and hotels,
but you know what? My business, and I became really abundant about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
Really abundant. Like every event I put on, every training course I do, every book sale I do gets donated.
Yeah.
Everything. My business, I make my money from my business. That is all ancillary, and I don't. But when I became abundant like that, and I was able to put on a movie, called the Wish Man for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Jankowicz. He was like my mentor.
Yeah.
So, we do a lot with Operation Underground for child sex slavery. But if you cannot commit to that, your life will never change. So I decided years ago, about 8, 9 years ago, that I'm going to create this, and I'm going to only hang out with people in my circle that feel the same way, that have the same core values I have, that live abundant the way I live. And you can't do it for $97.
No.
It's just not going to work.
Right.
So to put on the 5-star events we put on, we have an investment, but I also interview every single person that comes.
Right.
Because I got to value you. I got to make sure you're worth coming for the next person that comes. Otherwise, they won't come. Events sell out like this, no problem. And people will tell me you'll never be able to do it. Nobody's going to do it. They do it, and we donate so much money to these organizations, so it's like a win-win-win. Yeah. And people are like, well, if you do events and you don't make money, why do you do them? And I said, you know what? Because the last event I did with 16 people, I did over $1 million in business.
That's right.
And I'm doing one at the end of September. I'll probably do a couple million in business.
Nice.
So that's because who do you want to do business with?
Yeah, successful people that
have a limited mindset and live in scarcity, or people that live abundantly.
I can't get away from those people fast enough. When the people start talking like that, like I be careful. I was at a place.
Now you're gonna be careful. No.
I was with my brother, and we're just trying to get the away from it, because to me, I feel like it's like this slime getting on me. Like I don't want that in my brain. But so back to I didn't go into the REI. I go home and I can count on my one hand all the times I've ever not told my wife the truth. She's like, how'd it go? I'm like, couldn't find it.
They must not have had a navigation back then.
Yeah, well, I was on MapQuest, printed sheets. So this was July. I remember I didn't go in August.
It probably bothered you like crazy. It probably to the core it bothered you.
So in September, I remember it was September because it was my birthday. So I go down that, now I'm pissed. I'm like, you ever drive someplace, you're white-knuckled, and the whole way down there, I'm like, I'm going in this place, I'm going in this thing, I'm not going to do that. When I was such a like, what was wrong with me? Like, I'm like, I was mad. I thought about it for 60 days, man. I was pissed. So I slammed my car into park, out of the car. Like, I wouldn't even think, like, I'm like, right up, I'm so stupid. Like, right up there, and I give them my $10 or $20, whatever it is, to go in. And,
well, you didn't ask for a discount?
No, I didn't do that now. And so anyway, so I went in, and, that meeting literally changed my life, and, sort of set the path for all the things, and meeting Dave and all these other people. But I was the guy in the room who would stay in the far back and be afraid to go talk to him because he's the expert guy. So when that shifted a little bit, somehow I became the expert guy. Like, I want to go out of my way to help people.
Exactly.
I do. And the way that started in the beginning was I would let people come into my office continuously. Right? So we would sit at a conference table just like this, and because I want to give to that person, because I remember very distinctly being that person.
Right.
Like, I remember being the guy who was afraid to go talk to Augie Bylot or all these people that were, in Orlando were superstars. So, like, I remember the scaredness to do my first deal. So I would let all these people come into the office, and I would say to them, they're like, hey, I want to be like you. I'm like, okay, great. Go out, and they have no money. I'm like, go out, drive for dollars. Come back with 100 addresses. Right. We'll mail them. If anything happens, we'll do 10%. Like, and then we can start to work together. But out of hundreds, like 3 ever did it.
I'm surprised 3 did it.
Yeah. Well, 1 did it very serious. 2 did it a couple.
I've had a 0% success ratio on free mentoring. 0. On my paid mentorship, which I very rarely do now, I'll do like a 1 day or 2 day. Yeah. I have a 100% success ratio on that. 100%. Now everyone's at a different level, and it's why it's my mentor years ago. I said to this, I hate this, and he says, what do you mean you hate this? Just like we like to help people. Like, we're in this business to help people, right? And we love coaching, and we love speaking because we're giving back. Just doing this podcast is giving back. We're not making money doing the podcast. But I said, because they're not doing this, they're not. He goes, if you could help anybody, what would they look like? Just like we talk about life. What would your life look like if money wasn't an issue? If you could help anybody, what would the avatar of that person look like? And I said, they would be this, they would be this, they would be this, they would be this. And he made it real simple. He's like, go help them. Yeah. Who would you not want to work with? This. Don't work with them. Right? So he also told me, he says, you're being extremely selfish by not making them invest in themselves. And I'm like, how am I being selfish? I'm letting them come in my office for free because I had the same feeling, right? Yeah. And he says, because those people probably have some greatness within them, and they're never going to pull it out because you're not helping them value themselves. Right. So the people that value themselves, the people that invest in themselves, they're not quitting when something gets tough if they invest 30 to 50 grand. If they put 30 to 50 grand in, they're not quitting because things will get tough. Anyone that tells you it's get rich quick, they're lying to you.
No.
Get skinny fast, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
Get good looking quick, they're lying to you.
It wasn't, you know,
it took
hey.
you how many years to get 15 years to look that way?
That's right.
As good as you look.
That's right.
But you know what? I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree. You know, how much did that cost? And do I do anything with it? Not a thing.
What's your degree in?
Bachelor's of Science in Healthcare Management.
Oh, mine's criminal justice. I tell people the only time I ever used it was when I dealt with my tenants. So I would let people come into the office, and you know, when I ran a very small operation, it was okay. It was just my time. But as we got bigger and we started to have a big team, I had a mentor say, well, you know, that's great that you're doing that, but every minute that you're doing that, you're taking away from your team, the people who do depend on you.
Right.
To make sure they can make their rent and their mortgage and their, you know, kids can have all of that. So, but I just realized I don't have the bandwidth to have people randomly rolling into my office.
It's a constant battle, right? Because you want to give back, and you feel guilty saying no.
Yes.
But you have to say no so you could say yes.
Yeah. So what I do now is we host a once a month or about every other month a meetup in our office. You can come hang out. You got me for 2 hours. We will sit and hang and talk.
Have all this content.
Yeah.
That's our give back. I feel like we put so much content out there.
Yeah.
Go watch the content.
Right.
We write books. I have a book. We have that.
Was writing the book hard?
It was because the way I did it. Once again, I did it.
We're also all over the map here. So keep up.
I did it years ago.
Yeah.
Before they had these ghosts, all this stuff, ChatGPT and AI, we could write a book. But I wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
I was actually writing a book.
So the spelling mistakes are all yours.
I did send it off for editing. It took me about 7 years and over $30,000 to write that book. Now you can write a book technically for less than $1,000 and have it done in a couple days. But once again, I was like one of those things. I just honored the people reading, and it hit bestseller quick. It's got me on so many stages now.
Yeah.
And I was just very vulnerable in my book. So the first part of my book is about my why, and it's very vulnerable, why I do what I do. And then I really broke down my book to give you action steps on how to do what I do. Because I want to give, but I want people to take action. Yeah. So it was the best thing I probably did. It was the hardest thing I did because it took me a long time. Because once again, I'm literally writing it. Now you could voice text the thing and have it transcribed and have it edited and. Now you don't even have to.
You can sit and do it on camera.
You can literally chat GTP the thing if you want. I won't do that myself, but you could do that. But everyone should have a book because everyone's got greatness. As Les Brown says, I don't want to repeat, but it's true. I believe this 100%. I was just at a table speaking to a couple people at the event, and they're like, "You speak, but I really don't know what." I said, "Every single person has some greatness."
I do say
every person has.
We're all amazing at something.
They have something.
But then I'm like, you know,
being a parent.
Who wants to listen to me and my?
Nobody's surprised, man. It's people. You have a lot. Like that's the thing. People don't believe they have so much greatness within them. And Les Brown said, and it's true. You have everyone has a genius zone. I don't care if it's. Hey, this is how I treat my animals. This is how I treat my wife. This is how I raise my kids. This is how I do daily living. This is what I do. This is how I do podcasts. This is how I do I mean, you got a ton. I mean, you're different. I mean, you're very, very reputable investing business. You own a great company. You have an amazing name in the industry. So people like, how do I start a company? How do I do this? I mean, you didn't go out there at college and say, I'm going to start this business.
It's that imposter syndrome.
Right.
And I get to speak on a lot of stages too. And I'm honestly always a little bit stunned when someone texts me or calls me like, hey man, I'm doing this event. Do you want to come talk? And I'm like, why? Like, why? And here's, I don't know if I spoke the other night. I don't know if you were in there.
Oh, yeah.
Was it okay?
I waited till you turned around and took those. You saw them online. I pushed them online for you.
That's right.
You actually, you were very, I would say, I think pretty much everyone here has been phenomenal. They gave a ton of content, ton of content.
I think what happens though is we get in our own head a little bit, and the things that I was talking about up there seem so incredibly rudimentary and simple because we've done it for 20 years.
Right.
But there's somebody in that room who needed that.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what I have to remind myself. Logan, who was just here, one of my good friends, we were speaking in San Antonio, and we were both behind the curtain. He was about to go out, and they were hyping him up. I'm like, dude, you're going to go out there and change somebody's life today. There's something you're going to say today that will change somebody's life, and you have to remember that. We in its hubris and narcissism that we take what we do for granted sometimes.
It is.
But you have to remember back to when you were that person who was afraid to go into your first REO.
And that's why I love speaking, because that's where I know I change people's lives.
Yeah, well, I don't love it. It makes me incredibly nervous and anxious. But I do. I love it. The idea and the outcome I think is good, and that we're able to impact people. And somebody came up yesterday and was talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, we were talking yesterday. I didn't realize I've been following you on Instagram for like a year and a half. I'm like, well, I am more handsome,
In
adorable in person, right?
It's like the
very
mirrors,
cuddly, right?
It's like in the mirrors, like the objects in mirror.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. And he's like, hey, you talked about this thing. It was ChatGPT. You talked about how to use ChatGPT and do something in a reel. And I took that and I went to my sales job with all the salespeople and I made a presentation on it, and that made me salesman of the month. And now everybody in that business took that, what you taught me and I taught them, and now it's the model for this car lot, and they do all these things. And I'm like,
that's phenomenal. That's
I'm like it made the pit of my stomach hurt a little bit, because I'm like,
awesome.
wow, dude, that's such a touching story.
It is.
Because you never know, some of these reels that we put out, you're like, oh, that was kind of dopey. We were talking about this lockbox or something stupid. And, it's dumb maybe to us because we do it all the time, but to someone new, it is literally like, why didn't I ever think of that?
Yeah, I swear, every time I speak, I know there's at least a couple people in that audience when I get to speak, that I just open their eyes and the light bulb goes off. And usually when I speak, I look at the audience and I don't go out there with such a prepared what I'm going to say, but I kind of key in on the audience's face, and I always see tears coming down from some people's eyes because I touch them in some way. When I talk about my why and my family and my wife and my kids, I touch them in some way that I'm hitting a button, I'm hitting that nerve in them, and they're realizing, wow, I really can do this. And that's, I'm getting goosebumps now. It's literally like, that's what it's about for me. And so when people ask you, hey, can I pick your brain and all this stuff, it's like, it's first of all, if you're going to do that and you're listening, I would tell you this. If I was in your situation, I literally didn't have $1 and I couldn't even figure out a way, I'm different. I would literally watch people's car to come up with the money to pay you. I would bring some. Lead with value. And that's what I was going to say. Like you just said, and I tell that to people too. I said, here, get my book, read the book, tell me which business you want to do. Or I did the same thing. I said, here's how you do driving for dollars. I'll send you a video. Go driving for dollars. I said the same thing. Bring me back deals. Go knock on doors. Bring me back deals, and we'll work them together. And I'll show you how to do it. But don't just say, can I pick your brain and buy you coffee? My time is worth more than $1 cup of coffee. And it's just disrespectful.
Because we're investors who are so rich and not paying any taxes.
Well, can we do it? That's a whole nother podcast.
Dude, I've sat at a table and there'll be 4 of us, and one of my friends owns a very big healthcare billing business, and anyways, there's 4 of us, and we're sitting there talking about taxes. Something like, how they say like 1 out of 4 people don't pay any taxes? It's me. Just so you guys know.
We might get banned if I say this, but then Trump said this to Hillary. He says, because I'm smart. She goes, and you didn't pay. He goes, because I'm smart.
That's true.
He didn't do anything illegal.
Nope.
He followed the tax code. He said, but real estate investing, we can go a whole nother podcast on the tax code.
Yes.
But it's some of the best tax benefits.
For probably the first,
especially having an S
8 or 9 years of being an investor, I paid no taxes.
See, I do. I still get paid taxes.
Well, I flipped a few too many properties one year and had huge capital gains.
But if you learn about depreciation, that's why these events are so important. You're not going to learn that for free.
Right.
You got to get in rooms with this, where people are doing millions and millions of dollars in business, and how they're working on accelerated depreciation, how we're investing in other deals. I mean, I'm investing in ATM companies. We invest in land deals.
We're in oil and gas.
Yeah, some people do oil and gas. And you learn about that, and you learn how to accelerate your depreciation, how to show losses, and how to legally do it, how to pay your kids, how to pay, how to show. This is a big why. People are like, how do you raise so much money? Because I teach people how to save on taxes. I teach business owners.
I don't give a third of it away.
I teach business owners how to set up a solo 401k. I tell them how to pay their kids legally, tax-free. I tell them how to set health savings accounts. And I'm not even a custodian, so I don't sell it, but I content. That's my free content. Now when they go and set up these accounts, they're like, great, I got $100,000 sitting in an account. What do I do with it? Well, what do you know? I got this deal that I need about $100,000.
That's right.
And
I'd
that's
like to get
what
some
we
great
do.
returns.
And now all of a sudden they're talking about mailbox money. So they save money in taxes, and now it's earning them interest.
I love it.
Now that's the goal.
Love it. So Dan, let's wrap this up, bring it in for landing.
Sounds good.
You've given so much value, and I thank you. I appreciate that. We followed each other on Facebook and social media, so I was very excited to meet you when you got here. How can people find you and follow you?
Okay, they basically go on Facebook, and they could follow me on Facebook. Just don't friend request me because I can't accept anymore.
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
out
follow
too.
me.
Yeah. Have you culled down your 5,000?
Yeah, I do it.
I'm constantly in there.
I do it every day.
Yeah,
I have a plan every day how I get down to the 5,000. How I get under it.
Yeah, like very few people make the cut anymore. Like I've got like parents of friends, I'm like, sorry, you're out.
Yeah.
But
you can follow. But I have the group, free Facebook group. It's Become a Real Estate Investor with Dan Zatowski.
Nice.
And they can go on. And they can get free cheat sheets. I have stuff that I give free. I have free stuff. I don't sell you on anything. I don't sell you names or anything like that. If you get a free cheat sheet, you can get that. That's PassiveWealthAcademy.com/42K. PassiveWealthAcademy.com/42K.
Nice.
And also the book, Passive to Prosperous. That's the best way. I mean, I give a ton of information
on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
I'm gonna order it today.
Everything, Audible, book, everything. And every dollar from that obviously gets donated. So just the picture on there, you probably won't recognize me because I did lose 90 pounds since the picture.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Nutrition, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now I've been lifting since November.
I'm watching you flex over here on the
I am training Passive to Prosperous. So it'll tell you about my why, and it'll tell you about how I do my stuff.
Yes.
It's been a blessing. We're working on 2 other books right now in the future, and those are about more mindset. Am I enough and stuff like that. But Instagram, Dan Zatowski. I don't have a huge Instagram yet, but I will. Right? I'll have that huge Instagram.
Yeah, my boy Sheik here is going to set you up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the paperback version, so next time I see you, you can sign it for me.
I'd love to.
Dan, thank you so much, man. I know that we're going to do a bunch of stuff in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's cool. Make sure you follow Dan, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate you guys.